Today I'm reading from chapter 22, an excerpt from 22 called Reaching Out. So after we returned home from our vacation, which was a lot of making changes to try and find warmer weather, I'm realizing as I'm home and how our vacation went, which was still very stressful for me, dealing with things with Gidget and being very concerned about her welfare, as well as, hoping that we would have a great time as well, that John and I would have fun. But I'm realizing as we get home that I really need to reach out to someone. I had talked with my animal communicator, but I was still struggling internally with a lot of different feelings and emotions, dealing with the chronic health issues with Gidget. And it occurs to me, one day as I'm thinking about this, who is it I could reach out to? And I thought of my friend Joe Dwyer, who I had met years ago online when I first published my first children's book about Frankie, my little dachshund in a wheelchair. And I had decided I was going to reach out to him. So I am somebody who has come to believe very strongly in signs and symbols from the universe, and that is how the universe is always supporting us or confirming or validating choices that we make. So I had decided, yes, indeed, I'm going to reach out to Joe and see if, because he does coaching, and I thought, and because he has such a huge love of animals, I felt like he was the perfect person that could help me, keep working on the self-healing journey that I was on. Though at the time, I don't even know if I really realized, that this was a self-healing journey, but in the end, that is what it turned out to be. So as I've mentioned, I wholeheartedly believe in signs from the universe, though I don't always pay attention. In fact, I have joked that at times I need to be hit over the head with a 2x4 until I get it. Now, as I stared at his name, Joe's name on my screen, I wondered, was Joe really the person I should be contacting? I decided to click over to his website, where I was reminded of his work as an animal chaplain. Even though I was nervous, it felt like confirmation that contacting him was the right thing to do. I was at my desk in my writing cottage composing an email to Joe when I heard a loud crash. It sounded like something had fallen outside the cottage. But when I walked to the window and glanced out onto the deck, I saw nothing out of place. I went over to the door, opened it, and peered out to scan the deck. But again, I didn't see anything out of the ordinary. I thought perhaps my imagination was working overtime, so I sat back down to finish writing Joe. My hand was shaking as I hit send, and the message left my outbox. But once I did it, I felt some relief too. Now all I could do was wait for Joe's response and his reaction. My thoughts returned to the noise I'd heard a few moments earlier, and I went back to the window, where another peek revealed absolutely nothing amiss. I had taken a step back toward my desk when I realized what had happened. Several decorative pieces I keep on the windowsill had fallen to the floor. How odd, I thought. What could have caused that? I didn't have the window open, and the ceiling fan was off. The cottage was completely still. I began picking up the pieces that had fallen to the floor and placing them back on the window ledge. There was a miniature stone totem of a wolf, a painted wooden piece made by a local artist, of 2 pine trees with the moon peeking out from behind them, a 3D postcard of a wolf, and a laminated quote of a Cherokee legend. I stared down at the quote, which I was unable to read without my glasses, and recalled the guided meditation Pam had taken me on during our last coaching session 3 years prior. It was during that visualization that I met Leola, the white wolf that advised me to keep my heart open. I had not read the Cherokee quote in quite some time, but now I grabbed my readers, suddenly eager to revisit it. So I'm going to share the quote with you. It's called Two Wolves. An old Cherokee is teaching his grandson about life. A fight is going on inside me, he said to the boy. It's a terrible fight, and it's between 2 wolves. One is evil. He is anger, envy, sorrow, regret, greed, arrogance, self-pity, guilt, resentment, inferiority, lies, false pride, superiority, and ego. The other is good. He is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, benevolence, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, and faith. The same fight is going on inside you and inside every person too. The grandson thought about it for a minute and then asked his grandfather, "Which wolf will win?" The old Cherokee simply replied, "The one you feed." I'll just finish here. So tears sprang to my eyes, for in the legend of two wolves, I recognized my own struggle. Yes, I had tried to push away my wolf of resentment, anger, and guilt, but I had fed it too. So this was such a sign to me that reaching out to Joe was the right thing to do, and in fact it was, because he replied almost immediately to my email. So the next excerpt I'll be sharing with you tomorrow is from chapter 23, and it's called Talking to Joe. See you then.